Alright, I'm just going to give you some tips and tricks on collecting multiple choice data from D2L for your Compass Core course. Just to give you a sense of what we do in psychology is we have an admin site that's a repository site, and in that repository all of our courses for D2L that use multiple choice artifacts, they're to make them consistent, to make them the same artifact, they're in this repository. This means instructors just have to be added to the site, and then they can copy the component to their D2L to use the multiple choice assessment. If you're not using multiple choice assessment, this isn't for you. Don't even worry about it. I'm just going to show you how we have our Psych 2500 set up, because it is a single course that is only in one category. So we're just in the social and behavioral sciences. If you're setting up your multiple choice exam or your assessment for Compass Core, you want to design your questions around your specific learning outcome dimensions. Existing knowledge includes questions about basic information. I'm sure every discipline has their own set of what their expectations are on the existing knowledge. Theory and methods. We have all kinds of stuff about research design and how to do behavior analytic designs that include replication. You don't care about that, it's fine. Organize evidence. This is a little bit higher level, but what are the relationships between like stimulus control and the Premack principle and a bunch of different things that are higher, a little bit higher level in terms of evidence and organization, how we expect our students to perform in that course, findings and limitations, some stuff on language learning that we cover that are covering some limitations, higher cognitive processing, also limitations, basic important findings like reinforcement, analyze impact on society, behavior mod. You probably don't know, still one of the most successful ways to treat addiction. It's all around you, it's everywhere. All civic fines are punishment contingencies. Essentially, it's called negative punishment, taking your money away to make sure you don't do the bad thing that you want to do, like speed on the interstate. Stimulus control, put out cop cars, and that's stimulus control over human behavior. So it's all still relevant. You might think we've pushed past it if you're outside of my discipline, but in a lot of ways, still the simplest and best explanation for a lot of different behaviors. You don't care about that. Matt, you're asking, what are these weird titles in your questions? And the reason that the titles are there are to sort the data. So if you notice, we're in the social behavioral sciences section, and every question in the first learning outcome dimension starts with a 1, so 11 through 15. In the second dimension, 21 through 22. In the third dimension, 31 through 21 through 25. In the fourth, 41 through 45, 51 through 55. Why would you do such a thing, you ask? That's insane. Where are questions 1 to 10? It doesn't matter. As long as you know what the numbers are. This is just code for me to know dimension 1, question 1, dimension 1, question 2, dimension 1, question 3. Get it? That's how my brain works. I knew we were going to have to do some coding to pull this data out on the back side. The last thing to show you is what the reports are. So if you go into set up the reports, we have the assessment export report. It is really this attempt details. That gives you all the data. User statistics doesn't give you individual question data. Question details doesn't give you individual user data. Question statistics, again, doesn't give you individual user data. So if you want to export this data, you get attempt details. And I'm going to show you exactly what happens there. And that is this, and that is sad. There is every item. So you can see that the questions were shuffled. So they got 22, 21, 23, 24, 25. I mean, that's not a great shuffle. Here, they got 35, 33, 32, 34, 31. So also, we've only got 5 questions, but it gives you for every user the answers that they checked, the answers that they did not check, and then the ones that they got right or wrong. So these 4 choices, they got this one right. These 4 choices, they got this one wrong. It is, if you select one column, 7,700 lines of data for 70 students. So I had 70 students who completed this assessment. I did it for extra credit in a class of 160. So 70 completed the assessment, plenty of data. And we got tons and tons of it. And it's all organized around the assessment, but I have almost 8,000 lines of data, of which I only need about a quarter, if even that, right? So some of these lines are just totally arbitrary and unnecessary. So it's human readable, and I guess that's what D2L is going for. So I wrote some code in Python. It's not a lot of code. It took me a couple of days to get it to where it is now. It has some dependencies. We can talk about what those are from your perspective if you need them. But there's a lot of cleaning. There's categorizing, and the categorizing is based on those titles. This is changeable, obviously. If you come up with different titles for your questions, fine. Oh, also, if you're writing your questions in Respondus, that short description in D2L is also the question title in Respondus. So if you go back to edit the assessment in D2L, you're going to see the question be a short description. In Respondus, that's the question title. I don't think Respondus is updated yet. But just make sure you have coding for every question in there, because that makes it easier for the Python code to go in and pull it out. Here's what the Python code does. It does 2 things. It gives you 2 separate files, but you're good at copying and pasting. That's not a big deal. So your first file is going to be an item analysis. And the item analysis, even though you've shuffled, can still resort the questions, because science, and give you a point by serial correlation, which is the R-stat here, and discrimination index, which is here, and a percent correct, which is here. And then you can look and see if your students particularly sucked on a particular item. And you can see in this particular case, the students got worse as the semester went on this item. We went from 33% getting it right to 13 in a pre and a post test. You don't have to do this. We're psychologists, we care about assessment, so we did a pre and post test. The other thing that changed between these pre and post tests is a lot fewer of the students were taking it. They were taking it for extra credit. So for the most part, their numbers might have expected them to be lower, but actually, except for that item, they got better. So even though we were taking the students who needed extra credit at the end of the semester and not the beginning of the semester, our numbers actually got better. We showed significant improvement, even though from here we're sampling most of the students, and from here we're sampling the students who need extra credit at the end of the semester. I will not say anything pejorative about those students. That is all I will say about that. So I have multiple sections and semesters in there. It does not matter. You can combine this into your own Excel file, however you want to do it. Just on the items, or in this particular notebook, I have 210 students. It's both sections that did a pre and a post. So I have 180 total students who did a pre, and 210 who did a post, which is weird. So we got more. I don't know how that happened. Apparently at the beginning of the semester, some people missed it, or they didn't know that they were going to need it. That does explain why our scores got better a little bit also. So this is what you get. You get item level 1s and 0s. Got it right, got it wrong. And that's all you need to give yourself a percent correct, a discrimination index, etc. And so that's how we end up. And then it does also give you combined scores, not for multiple sections, but just for each section. Then we went back and combined them for a raw score for each category, growing as an individual, global citizen, social and behavioral science 1 and 2. So we get an overall score. These don't reflect levels on on the AAC and U rubrics, or the rubrics we've generated for Compass Core. These are just quantitative data to supplement the other rubric level data that we're getting in social and behavioral sciences. So we have big courses in social and behavioral sciences, we have big courses that are popular courses in natural sciences. We're going to not be able to get rubric data on all those courses. Mixed methods are good, and this is a way for us to get quantitative data. But you have to be thinking ahead in terms of, how am I designing this quiz to measure each outcome dimension, because I need to give Palmateer scores for each outcome dimension, or it may not be me in the future. I need to give somebody scores for each outcome dimension. And then on top of that, you need to be thinking about, how am I going to decode this data, because D2L is going to shove a hot mess of data at me, and I'm probably going to need someone with some ability to code to slice up that data into something that's useful and usable for me and my department and for Compass Core. So I'm going to try and put some fancy music behind this video, make it a little bit more entertaining for y'all, and that is it.